Hello everyone, it is so good to see everyone back again today. If you are new, welcome. Today I am going to show you how to make handheld baked meat pies. I'm going to make these very easy by using some pie crust, and the meat that's going to be in these is ground beef. Now you may have heard of these called pasties, which is how I know them. This recipe goes many generations back in my family on my dad's side. He lived in Michigan and these were prominent there. I am so ready to show you how to get started on these, so I'm going to show you what you need to pull out of your refrigerator and pantry to get started. This recipe calls for 4 pasties, so you can half this recipe or you can make more if you want. I'm going to be using 3 russet potatoes, 4 medium carrots, I've got 1 large yellow onion, and I have some garlic here that's minced. We're going to be using some butter. Now for the flavorings, we've got salt, pepper, beef granules, we've got some parsley flakes. I'm using ground beef, and then we have our prepared pie crust. With the prepared pie crust, you're going to want to make sure you pull these out of the refrigerator about 15 minutes before you start loading these up. That way they're nice and soft and pliable and they don't break on you. So what I'm doing is peeling 3 large russet potatoes. I'm making 4 pasties, so it's going to be about a half to maybe 3/4 cup of diced potatoes for each pasty. And I'm just using the fastest peeler in my house. That's what it's called. All right, I'm going to rinse these off and then I'm going to chop these up. Now you want to make sure that your potatoes are diced up into small pieces. Now I just like to use my dicer that I have right here. Let it do a lot of the work for me. All right, that bowl holds a lot in there. Now if you don't have a chopper, you can just slice your potatoes very thin, cut that into strips, and then you can just cut them into dices. I'm just going to place this into a large bowl. All right, we're just going to do our 3 to 4 carrots. I'm just going to peel them and then cut them the same way. Now my grandfather worked in a mine up in Upper Michigan, and my grandmother would make him these pies, these savory pies, and he would take them with him wrapped up into the mines because they would be miles and miles inside of those mines and you just couldn't come out of it during lunchtime. So they had these really handy and ready to go when it was lunchtime. My kids loved hearing the stories from their generations ago relatives. Chop my carrots in half. Now if they're pretty thick, I go ahead and cut them lengthwise before I put it in the chopper. Gotta get that onion in there. I'm going to cut off the ends, pull off a good layer of the outer onion here. I'm going to chop it in the chopper also, or you can just dice your onion. Cut it into big chunks. Or you can just take your onion, cut 3/4 of the way through, mini slices. Turn it over, cut through the onion, through the slices, 3/4 of the way through, and I do it 2 times. And then just lay it down, drag your knife through, and there's your dices. All right, so I've showed you 2 different ways to chop and dice up your onion, potato, and your carrot. I'm going to go ahead now and add it to the potatoes, so that we have the carrots, onions, and potatoes all in the same bowl. Just going to stir this all together. I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, about 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and about 3 tablespoons of parsley. Just going to go ahead and stir that together. What I'm going to do is take about 1.5 pounds of ground beef. I'm going to break it up into the mixture here and then just kind of stir that all together. Now I'm basing the ground beef off of about 1/4 to 1/2 pound per pasty. And that's going to give us the 4 pasties. If you have more mixture than you have room in the pasties for, then you can always cook it separately in a smaller pan without the crust. All right, now all we need is the crust. Okay, so I have the pie crust, and there's 2 pie crusts that come in a package, and I'm going to be using 2 packages, so that'll give me 4 pie crust. Now these are pre-made, and you get these in your refrigerated section. And you want to make sure that these are pulled out about 15 minutes beforehand, before you start stuffing them. That way they're nice and soft and pliable. If you just start to pull them out of the refrigerator and then try to load them, they're going to break on you and they're going to be more solid, so it's going to be hard to work with. So what I'm going to do is I've got some parchment paper out, and I have 4 sheets. You can see 2 of them right now. What I'm going to do is find the beginning point of it and roll it out on the parchment paper. Just going to get a rolling pin and just smooth it out. It'll just thin it out a little bit, give you more work surface. All right, that's it. What I'm going to do now is take the mixture, and you kind of want to make sure that you divide it equally amongst the 4. So what you're going to do is scoop some onto your pie crust. You only want to go on one side of it, and then make sure you save an edging along that mixture, because we need to seal this. All right, that's 1. All right, 1, 2, 3, and 4 that I have right now. What we're going to do is add some flavoring to this. I've got some beef granules. Just sprinkle a little bit across the top of the beef and potato carrot mixture. All right, this is what I'm using right here. It's by Knorr. Beef flavor bouillon, but it's in kind of like a powder form. I don't know if y'all can see that. I'll hold the spoon up. There we go. Kind of lost the light there for y'all. We got some more flavor to add. We're going to add some butter to each one. I'm going to take about a tablespoon, and then I'm just going to cut it into little pieces all over the top of the mixture here. That butter will help mix in with those beef granules, and oh my goodness, talk about some flavor there. Okay, now we got to seal these. So make sure that you have your edging and push everything in towards there, and it's halfway. The parchment paper will help. And pull it all the way over to the other end. And what's great is you don't have to take it off the parchment paper, because we're just going to put that on a sheet pan. So make sure you bring it over. We're going to pinch it closed. I'm just kind of folding over, because what you don't want is for it to bust on the bottom and all your juices flow out. That wouldn't be good. I'm going to get a fork, pull this down just a little bit, and then I'm just going to crimp it. We want to make sure we have a good seal on this. What's great about this is you can take your pan, pick up your parchment paper and just slide it onto the pan and put it all the way over to the edge. And then I just like to fold the parchment paper down underneath of it, like that. We're going to do that with this one. I'm going to set it on the end. And then just fold the parchment paper and just place it underneath. All right. There's my 4. I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to cut 3 slits on each one right on the top. That'll give it some steam release. That way it doesn't blow it up in the oven. Okay, I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I'm going to place these in the oven for about 1 hour. You want to make sure that your pie crust is baked all the way through and is nice and golden brown. Now, if you have this many and you're putting one on the top and one on the bottom, you can just rotate them about halfway through the process and then just turn them around. Okay, you guys, let me know what you know these by. I know there's many different names for these. Make sure you're giving me a thumbs up if you're on board. And also, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification. It is free to join. I will be back. Okay, here are all 4 of them. They look amazing. Now you can test it like I did, and you can go in like the inside of it and just pull a little bit out and see if the potatoes and the carrots are nice and tender and that your meat is fully cooked all the way through. This one had a little bust right here, which is totally fine. It kept everything in. It's really good. Look at these. All right, I'm going to go into one for you and I'm going to show you how we eat these pasties. Okay, generally the serving size is half of that pasty, unless you're my kids, and then the whole one is a serving. But we do like to have leftovers of this, and we eat it with ketchup. Y'all let me know down below what you eat your pasties with. Okay.
I bet horseradish would be good on that.
Ketchup for me. Okay, y'all, look at this. You saw how simple that was to make, the simple ingredients. We've got the flaky crust. The potatoes and carrots are nice and tender. The meat is cooked through. A little dip into the ketchup, and there's my bite. It's so full of flavor. That butter melts right into those granules, which distributes all over that mixture that's inside. Who's making this one? It is so delicious. It brings back memories every time I make this. Give me a thumbs up, you guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification. That way you'll always know when shows like this one here are posted. I'll see you on the next episode.